podcast where people reach their goals and develop confidence one mind shift habit at a time. Let's join our host, certified coach Christina.
This episode of Conversations with Coach is sponsored by Christina Callaway Life Coaching LLC. I am pleased to announce I will be releasing my first book in 2023 entitled The Mindset Playbook, a guide for athletes to help them identify and overcome mental and performance blocks. There will be information in the show notes where you can support my efforts. If this is your first time joining Conversations with Coach, welcome. I am your host, certified mindset and confidence coach, Christina Callaway, and I partner with athletes, parents, coaches, and organizations, and together we develop the tools to increase their confidence and achieve their goals both on and off the field of play. It is often said that 40 is the new 30, 50 is the new 40. And you're also probably very familiar with the saying, she's aging gracefully. Well, aging gracefully is more about being healthy and happy than keeping wrinkles at bay. Maintaining a healthy lifestyle, surrounding yourself with the people you love, and doing the things that bring you joy. All of that encompasses aging gracefully. Let me ask you a question. Who comes to mind when you think of someone who definitely doesn't look her age? I recently watched a video interview of Angela Bassett, who, by the way, turned 64 just a few months ago. She looks phenomenal. The interviewer asked her, give up the secrets, to which Angela shared 3. She says she believes in a great esthetician for her skincare, and it shows. Her second secret of reveal, she is committed to a regular workout routine that includes a personal trainer. She said for her, she needed that accountability. She wasn't going to be disciplined enough to do it on her own. And her third secret, she has developed a regular diet that focuses on health. Now, most of the time when we hear diet, we think of those really strict diets that restrict us from pretty much anything but air. That wasn't what she was talking about. She was talking about a lifestyle of eating that actually enhances her life. But she did end the interview by saying, I have told you these things. However, I do them. It's not magic. If you don't do it, it won't happen. So one has to be committed to do all the things. On this episode of Conversations with Coach, I am joined by a guest who is giving up her secrets to staying fit through the decades. Let me share a little bit more about my special guest. Her name is Dr. Trina Wiggins, and she is a board-certified pediatrician who lives in Las Vegas, Nevada. She attended Stanford University, where she received a Bachelor of Arts degree in human biology, and she was the first African American on Stanford University's women's gymnastics team. We have something in common. I love gymnastics, all things gymnastics, as you all already know. And after graduating from Stanford University, she attended medical school at Washington University of Medicine in St. Louis, Missouri. And she completed her internship and residency at Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. She has worked in the public and private sectors, including volunteering with volunteers and medicines for over 10 years. Besides being a pediatrician, she competes in fitness and dance competitions. I cannot wait to talk to her. She has competed in over 50 shows over the past 19 years with many top place finishes. In fact, in 2011, she placed first in Fitness America Classic. And in 2019, she was named the AAU 2019 North American Bodybuilding and Fitness Athlete of the Year. Most recently, December 2021, she competed in the World Fitness Forum and received first place. And just last month, she won gold at the Nevada State Senior Olympics. You know what? I'm going to stop reading her bio right now because I want to get her out here so that we can talk to her. I want you to put some love in the chat and help me to welcome our guest, Dr. Trina Wiggins. Hi, Trina. How are you?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited.
I am too. Listen, when I was reading your bio, I was getting more and more excited because like this woman, being a pediatrician, let's just full stop right here. You are already busy. You are busy, busy, busy. And then you're like, okay, well, when I clock out of that, I'm clocking in over here and I'm doing all these things. Please, please, please share your story about how you got into this fitness thing.
Yeah. So before I share my story, I wanted just to share my quick acronym on how looking back in retrospect, how I stayed fit through the decades. And it's HOPE. So H is for habit. You must create a simple habit of exercise. And then O is for one entity. Exercise, I don't think should be a separate entity, like another thing on your to-do list. It needs to be actually merged into your daily routine. And then P is for propose a new plan once you reach your 40s or midlife, because your body starts to change. And then finally, E is for expand your routine to accommodate health challenges that can arise in your 50s and beyond, in addition to enhancing your mental well-being to ward off cognitive decline. So I
love it.
That's how when I look back, that's really what I implemented unknowingly back then, but that's how it all played out.
Absolutely. And I shared when I read your bio, all of your accolades, including being the first African-American woman on the Stanford gymnastics team. And then there were so many other firsts after that. What, if any, did your gymnastics play in that first decade of you developing this hope?
I'm sorry, developing? I didn't hear the last.
Developing the hope.
Yes. So gymnastics really set the foundation. I can vividly remember it was the summer of 1972. I was 11 years old. I was getting ready to go play kickball with the kids outside. And when I looked up, the Summer Olympics was like in the background. And I looked on TV and I looked up and I saw this young girl. And I'm like, what is she doing? It was Olga Korbut.
Yes.
Yes. The Russian gymnast. She had done a no-hand backflip on the balance beam. That moment changed my life forever. I was just like, Mom, get down here. Come see Olga. My mom's like, who is Olga? So after her performance, I'm like, okay, I got to do this. So I'm looking in the yellow pages, trying to find a gymnastics facility in Oakland, California. There was none. So I had my mom take me to the Berkeley Public Library, where I checked out 12 phone books in search of a gymnastics club. Back in the day, obviously there were no computers. So so I finally found a club in a competitive club in Walnut Creek, California. It was about 25 minutes or so away from Oakland. And I was instantaneously hooked. I progressed quickly in the sport, and I was very fortunate to compete for Stanford from 78 to 80. This was back in the time of Title IX. So I was one of the first people to get any scholarship money to compete. So and then in 1980, I broke the school record for vaulting. However, later in 1980, I sustained a career-ending knee injury. So I had to make a decision. Am I going to continue to try to compete, rehab and compete, or am I going to medical school? It was a difficult decision, but I decided to, shift my energies or refocus it to going to medical school. But what this whole gymnastics life taught me was several things: discipline, dedication, toughness, grit, and persistence in being consistent with something. So, and I honestly believe there's a definite advantage for children who participate in sports. Studies have shown that student athletes do better in the classroom because, if you look at sports, it requires, say for gymnastics, memorization of a move, repetition, problem solving. How I'm going to figure out how to do this trick. And then learning in general. And all those skills transfer to the classroom. So I really believe being involved in sports helped with all those issues. And then also, it taught me time management skills.
Yes,
time
ma'am.
management is critical.
Yes, ma'am.
In school and in life in general.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You bring up so many valid points. And to your point of extracurricular activities being so vital and so important for children, another part of that study that you mentioned also says that kids who participate in extracurricular activities, it improves their reading readiness.
Yes.
So to your point of being able to recognize things, being able to work independent of direct supervision, being able to just all of the things that are required in the classroom, they're developing and cultivating that. As a gymnastics director, I'm often asked by parents, well, how young is too young? And I said, I don't know that there is a too young because of all of the benefits. And I said, so if you see that your child has a propensity to tumble and it makes you nervous, yeah, that would probably be the time to go ahead and put them inside of that. You also mentioned something that I wanted you maybe to expound a little bit on. Sure. The foundation that gymnastics played into your now habits and your viewpoint on healthy living as you age. And what I would like for you to speak to, we've got athletes who you know how this is because you got to that point where you had to make that decision in yours. Do I retire or do I, which fork in the road am I going to take to speak? But speak to the parent and to the gymnast or athlete who is watching that about transitioning, retiring, and what they can take with them as they make the decisions.
Right. Transition is always challenging because you did this for so long. I mean, so many hours a day was invested. I mean, when I was in high school, I had to get special permission to get out of high school at 1 o'clock, to take the bus down the hill, then to take the rapid transit subway, BART, to Walnut Creek. And I was there from 2 to 7. So that's a huge chunk of time of your life for many years. And then all of a sudden, it's an abrupt, end when I had my injury. So I had to really, speak to family, to other gymnasts who had already retired or moved on. So that was helpful with myself. And here recently, I have twins who just retired from professional basketball. So we just had those conversations with them. But what they I thought was interesting when they mentioned how they continue to play basketball, but now it's for the fun of it. It's not for the, oh my God, because when you play professional, there's a lot of pressure because it's your job, it's your livelihood, right? Yes. So now it's like, oh my God, it's like almost like a exhale. Now,
yes.
So it's just interesting. And for me, when I picked my sport up again in my 40s, total different feeling. I was doing it for the fun of it had returned. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on, Dr. Trina. Hold on, Dr. Trina. You didn't just run that by me. I was listening. You said when I picked my sport back up in my 40s, I am oftentimes asked by someone, when they find out that I'm a gymnast, can you still do? And my immediate response is, no, my body is not okay with me doing that. It hurts now. The fact that you've got to please share for me, how did you do that? You started gymnastics again at the age of 40?
Well, here's the deal. It was a quick story. So my sister was here in Vegas looking for a wedding venue. And we had gone to several casinos. We ended up at the Rio Resort and Casinos. Last stop, the wedding planner was running late. And my sister looked up on the big marquee. It said, Miss Fitness USA. She goes, what is that? I said, I have no idea. So we run over there and we said, let's take a look. Lo and behold, we find women doing floor exercise, gymnastics-like routines. On the moment, she challenged me. She said, Trina, I challenge you to do that. And I'm like, oh, okay, but it's just not gymnastics. You have to have an evening gown with a speech and a swimsuit. So I kind of, for a while, I kind of thought about it. And then all of a sudden I said, I'm going to do it. And so 19 years later, I'm still doing it. What I did was I went to a gymnastics club that was not too far from my home. And I said, I just want to get the basics back. I'm not trying to, I want to stay in my lane. I'm not trying to do anything, too crazy. So I said, I want to work on my handstands, and I want to be able to do, cartwheel back handsprings again. And
wow.
So what I did was, it was a gentleman who was in Cirque du Soleil, who was actually an Olympic athlete. I don't know. I can't remember. He's from I forget the Eastern Bloc country he's from. Mm-hmm. He goes, oh, no problem. And I'm like, no problem. I'm like, he had more confidence than I did at the time. But he said, you can do this. So, and then I met with a guy who was a stuntman for Miami Vice. He said, I'm going to teach you this handstand on a chair. And I'm like, no way. Well, you know what? I learned all the handstand on the chair. I reclaimed my press handstands, and I did the cartwheel back handspring. So I said, okay, that's enough. Let me create a routine. So I created a routine, did my speech for my platform on childhood obesity. How can we, have an impact in decreasing that? And a little side bit, I started doing fitness and nutrition camps for kids. So that's how that started. So yeah, wow. So that's how all this started.
I love your story, and I love the fact that you did such a great job of extracting from your experience in gymnastics, your love for children, your love for medicine for children, yes. Being a pediatrician, but you made it all work together in yes. your next passion. And that's something that I want any athlete or a parent of an athlete that is viewing right now to understand. Where your athlete is right now is just a chapter in a book.
Yes.
And everything doesn't start and end with that one chapter. There is another one. Dr. Trina is sharing with us decades of chapters where she just kept evolving because of her desire to maintain a healthy, active, vibrant life as she was aging. Now, you've mentioned several times when you were telling your story, something that kept reoccurring, habits. You kept talking about habits.
Yes.
Talk about the habits during their second decade.
Oh, absolutely. So, once I had the injury and I refocused going to medical school, I'm like, okay, medical school and internship and residency, that's a busy, busy time in anybody's life. So I said, how will I be able to maintain my level of fitness when I'm doing all this studying and whatnot? My husband, I met him in medical school. He happened to be he's a former football player for Vanderbilt University. And it's so interesting. We both had ACL injuries on the same leg. We have the same scar.
Oh, wow.
It's like kind of weird. But anyway, we were in medical school and we said, how are we going to stay fit? I mean, you have classes all day, study sessions. I mean, it was just very little time. We thought about joining a gym and we said, no. That is not conducive to our, our time issue, because we had very little time. So what we decided to do, we purchased a stationary bike. And the one thing I did every morning before going to class was riding my stationary bike for 20 minutes while I read over my notes before class. We both did that. That's what we did. I mean, we didn't have all this time, but I said, I have to do something every single day. And we chose not to drive to class. We would walk, power walk to and from class. It was 3 miles round trip. So, and in this power walking, which we didn't know, we were doing interval training. We'll walk fast, then we'll slow down. We'll walk fast, then slow down. Now that's known as interval training. But going back to gymnastics, I had to develop that time management even in high school, getting out of school, getting to the gym on BART, doing my homework on the way back on BART. Then when I get home, and so I had to really understand time management, and this translated to me, being in medical school, internship, and residency.
Right. Exactly. So powerful. It's the little habits. When you were sharing just the little things, like for instance, when you said, we knew it was no point in us going out purchasing memberships for a gym, because we knew the way that our lifestyle was at that moment in time,
Yes.
it would have been a waste of money and we would not have been able to reach our goals. But you didn't stop there. You didn't allow your busy, hectic schedule, your hectic life to get in front of the fact that you have a desire to maintain a healthy, vibrant, active life. And so what did you do? You looked at what you did have instead of what you didn't have. You looked at, I have 20 minutes in the morning before I leave. I could ride a bike for 20 minutes and I can also be looking over my notes. So therefore, I'm killing two birds with one stone. And then you all decided to take it a step further, creating the habit of walking. Yes, would it have been convenient to drive or ride BART or whatever?
Yes.
It would have, but that you picked something that was inside of your goal and your desire to be able to develop this healthy lifestyle. And so everyone that's watching, I want you to really hold on to what Dr. Trina just said. It is the small habits. Sometimes we're trying to climb Mount Everest when we haven't even just taken one little step, turn around the corner. Maybe park a little bit further away when you go to the store. Maybe take the stairs at work instead of the elevator. Now, if you are up on the 60-something floor in a building, no. But maybe you could take it. Maybe you could take the stairs from the 60th floor down to maybe the 55th floor and then get on the elevator.
Absolutely.
Again, it's about the small steps in developing those habits, because it is establishing the habits that makes you successful. As Dr. Trina has said, her time management. She started that when she was 12, looking through the phone books, trying to find that gymnastics, and then realizing, hey, the closest one is going to be 25 minutes away. I still have school. I still have study. She developed and cultivated those during that. So you've been sharing about your husband, you all, having that similarity, that same likeness, that the interest of wanting to be healthy because you were former athletes and your bodies are just used to that. I would like for you to talk about how the merging of life and fitness, how does that work together?
Right. So like I said, we refuse to have our careers sabotage our health, period. So when we moved into the third decade, we had two new potential obstacles. First time being a full-time physician, and then I had infant twin boys.
Wow.
So, that was, so how can we do this? How can we integrate fitness into our daily lives such that it's one entity and not something you add on to your to-do list? Because I've seen people, okay, I'm gonna exercise today, and down to the to-do list, and it never gets done. It gets shifted to the next day, right? So before I share my personal story, I want to share this study that was done back in 1949. It was by Dr. Jeremy Morris. He's a British epidemiologist. He looked at workers on double-decker buses. He looked at the bus drivers versus the conductors. The conductors climbed 600 stairs a day, and the drivers sat all day. Now, if they had a heart attack, they were more likely to survive. What I'm telling you is that everyone obviously is not fortunate to have a job that involves exercise, but we all of us need to attain some level of fitness. And the best way to do that is to integrate it into your daily routine and not add it on to your lengthy to-do list. So for example, people sometimes laugh at this story. When the twins were babies, I placed that same old stationary bike next to my bed. I breastfed one twin while the other one sat in an infant carrier while I fed him my breast milk in a bottle. So I was burning calories while breastfeeding and riding my bike. So I got everything done at once. And when they became toddlers, they were everywhere. I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to work out with them? So we had a pretty large living room.
Mhm.
I took all the furniture out and I put a wrought iron fence because the fences like I would buy at Walmart or Target, they just knocked those down. So I had a wrought iron fence built around this living room, no
Mhm.
furniture, all carpet. I put a nice jungle gym inside and it was
Nice.
all childproof. And then around that fence, I put my mats, my, bike. By then we had invested in a Stairmaster. So it allowed me to work out while they were kind of working out on their jungle gym.
Yes.
Yes. So then when they were still young, we'd also go, we loved to hike because we lived in Phoenix, Arizona, had a lot of hiking trails. We would put them on our backs and we would go hiking. So we basically merged our fitness with our daily lives. And what
Mhm.
the important part of this is it allowed for more family time, but
Yes.
also the twins learn the importance of physical activity, which was
Yes.
huge. Yes.
That is so huge. There were so many nuggets inside of that. I hope I can remember them all. You made such a valid point. It's kids watch what we do.
Yes.
They don't so much listen all the time, but they are watching and they are observing.
Yes.
And when they see their parents active and moving, they have nothing else in their minds. That's what everybody else's parents are doing.
That's
Because
right.
my parents are doing this, everybody else's parents are doing this.
Yes.
Along the way, on the journey of adulting, we stop and get so overwhelmed with our daily lives, our daily responsibilities, that it becomes convenient for us to say that's not going to work. And I absolutely love you sharing your story because you were determined that exercise and being healthy was not going to be a box that I check. It was
Yes.
going to be like me brushing my teeth. It is something that I do. And I love the way that you frame it, where it become the life and fitness become one entity. They are
Right.
together. It's kind of like peanut butter and jelly. They
Right.
just go together. And just being that example for your boys and using what you have as opposed to, again, focusing on what you don't. I would like for you to speak to the new mother, or maybe her child now is in toddler age, or maybe she's got adult and she's like thinking, you know what, Dr. Trina, I needed you and this encouragement years ago. What would you offer as a way of encouragement to let them know it is not too late?
No, it's never too late. The key thing is, like I said, find something that you enjoy. I think it's important. Like I said, with my fitness, I used to be in gymnastics, so now I'm doing fitness. So I challenge people to look back in their past and see what made them move their body irresistibly. What did we really enjoy? I don't care if it was jump roping on the, at school, on the playground, or
Mhm.
if you love to dance, whatever really got you moving, reach back, start it again. I had a young lady that I met I was at the YMCA when the boys were a little bit younger. They were training, and then I was working out upstairs. And
Mhm.
the lady said, I'm kind of tired of doing my routine workout, the elliptical, the Stairmaster. And I said, so what did you do when you were in high school? I used to run track. And I said, well, you know what? The Senior Olympics have, track and field. I said, why not set a plan to start training for the Senior Olympics? And she did. And she loved
Ah!
it. Yes.
Yay!
Yes. So if you find something that really gets you, excited, and then it's not a chore. It's something that you just enjoy doing. So, and I tell people, if you weren't involved in a sport, like I said, jumping rope, hula hooping, whatever you enjoy doing, find it and do it.
Absolutely. It is never too late to start, and it's
No.
never too late to pick up something. And I so enjoy you sharing that you encouraged her. And I
Yes.
think you've mentioned the Senior Olympics a couple of times. For those who are watching and listening, and they're like, you know what? I've heard about it, but I'm not really sure I know. Can you share a little bit more about how someone, the age requirements, and how someone can find out about it in their area?
Yes. For the Senior Olympics, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's over age 55, but I think some of them have 50. I think it's not the same across the board, but they have multiple sports from pickleball, which is a new phenomena.
It is.
Dance. They have basketball. They have speed walking, track and field. So there's a plethora of sports offered, and every state has a Senior Olympics. And like I said, back in mid-September is when I did the Nevada State Senior Olympics. And it's fun. I mean, I've been working on my routine, so I get to perform it, and I get to be around other inspiring people who are doing the same thing. And everyone had wonderful costumes. There were some people, it was just not dance. I mean, for this one, it was dance, but I've entered Senior Got Talent shows as well. And I get to see, yes, I do it all.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
So it's fun. I met some singers here in Vegas, people who did group dancing. So it was just so many different talented people. And it's fun.
I love it. My takeaway from listening to you just up to this point is, first and foremost, make fitness and exercise one entity with your life, and not a box to check on your to-do list. That's first and foremost. The second thing that I picked up is find something that you love to do, that you don't even realize that you are exercising because you're having so much fun. And isn't that what we tell children when they are involved in sports or activities? Are you having fun? Make sure you're having fun. Again, on this journey of adulting, we silence all of that. Like, we aren't allowed to have that fun. We aren't allowed to engage in things like that. And you are just a billboard of that is not true. You can and you should be enjoying things. So it sounds like you did a lot of you switched to a new plan by the time you got to your fourth decade.
Yes. So during this time, obviously the twins are getting older, and they became young boys, eager to jump into all kind of sports. Okay, and when your kids get into sports, you know you're going to have to chauffeur them to practices and to games. So this could have been another potential obstacle for staying fit. When I would go see them, they did gymnastics, they did soccer, they did just a smidgen of football, then they changed to basketball. And I would see parents sitting and scrolling on their phones and chatting with each other. I'm like, this is the perfect opportunity to get your workout on while your kids are doing their practice, and you don't have to watch them. So I said, this was the perfect opportunity. But like I said, so when the twins were done practicing, I was done exercising. So I had done my cardio, body weight exercises, strength and stretching while they were there for that hour and a half or 2 hours, what have you. So it's, once again, merging as one entity.
Yeah, absolutely. To your point, I know where my facility is. We're inside of a public park. Yes. And so there's other amenities that people can enjoy doing. You can play tennis, you can walk the trail, you can bring out your own mat and do your own yoga and whatever in a corner of the park. It's things you can do. But I think sometimes parents get overwhelmed with everything that's going on in their own lives and their children's lives, and they're just wanting a moment of respite. And it's nothing wrong with that. Please get your rest, recharge, regenerate. Also, though, think of it in terms of, it is a respite when you are giving health and life back to yourself, because we as women, we know we are the ones, we're front and center to take care of everybody else. And then we put ourselves on that back burner. And so just looking at the opportunities, if you've got a kid that's involved in an activity, no matter if it's not a sport activity, but let's say that they're going to art lesson or they're going to ballet or they're whatever they are, they're going to be in there at least 55 minutes, 45 to 55 minutes. That is an opportunity where you can dedicate that to yourself. That's already scheduled in because you're going to be taking them.
Yes.
Might as well get yours in, and then everybody's done at the same time. And then you can now focus on your next schedule.
Yes.
I normally do 4 quarters for my podcast episode.
Yes.
However, we are going into overtime.
Okay.
Because I want you to talk about the fifth decade where you expanded your routine and your mental health.
Yes. So as we age, especially in the 50s, sometimes health issues can arise.
Yes.
As a gymnast, I had the ACL injury, and now I do have osteoarthritis. So I have to work around that. So you have to expand. So what I love doing is, first of all, I like the 7-minute workout app. It's probably the most popular app in over 100 countries because it's short and it's simple. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I also love to do dance with body weight exercises. So when I went to my 35th reunion 5 years ago, I did a chair aerobics routine for anyone who wanted to participate. So I like chair aerobics because it's joint friendly. Water aerobics because it's joint friendly. So anything that will mitigate pressure on my knee, but I can still be fit is what I like in that too. And also dancing to music as we age is critical. There was a study done in the New England Journal of Medicine back in 2003 that looked at a group of seniors. And those seniors who danced for 5 years to music had less dementia and cognitive decline. So, once we get older, we want to make sure that we optimize our joint health and we optimize our mental health.
Absolutely. You keep mentioning about dancing, and I'm going to go ahead and share a little secret with the audience. This is how I found Dr. Trina on Instagram. She came across my feed and she was jamming. And I was like, who is this lady that is just so bubbly? And then before I knew it, she turned to walk over. I was like, wait, what? And then in her description, it was saying like what her age was. And I was like, there is no way. I've got to talk to this lady. And so that's how let me tell you, she loves dancing and she's good at it. So again, it helps all the benefits. Like, who knew that dancing was doing all of that? I mean, and nobody cares whether the latest dance moves that what the kids are doing. We're in our 5th decade now. We're not trying to do what they do. We're just moving our bodies and happy that we can move them. Absolutely. You brought up a good point that in the 5th decade, there are greater chances of things age-related types of, whether it's illnesses or aches and pains, it's going to happen. I know that I have a few of my friends. I've got a parent that's, having this. I have siblings that are now experiencing this. And please, by no means, understand Dr. Trina is very health conscious, very active, and she still is dealing with some arthritis. It's just going to come with age. But what I like what you said was you didn't let it stop you. No. You found a way to expand your routine and you kept moving. Talk to me, because I'm the mindset coach. Talk to me about the mental health aspect.
Yeah, you know what? For me, to keep going, I'm a strong believer in affirmations. I have affirmations all over my house. One of my favorite, it seems impossible until it's done.
Until it's done.
Yes. And I'm sitting there going, I always look at that. I said, you set a goal or a plan and put a plan in place. And you don't make it overwhelming. You just, it's like small digestible pieces that are put in place over time. Right. Yeah. And you have to have time to clear the clutter in your head in order to be able to come up with a plan to succeed. And we're all going to have obstacles, correct? We're all going to face obstacles. But what I find, you got to be able to transform those negative issues into a positive. Give you example. So when I was doing this fitness, I had a minor injury to my other knee. And I said, I want to compete this year, you know? So I said, okay, how am I going to do this? So I had the procedure, and I said, well, God, I can't, how am I keep my stamina? You know, I'm approaching 50, right? How am I going to keep my stamina and flexibility? So I'm sitting there. I had to clear that clutter for clarity and creativity.
Yes.
So I'm sitting there. I'm like, I see my kids skateboard, and I'm like, let me what if I got a rowing machine and put my bum leg on the skateboard, and I can still row with one leg.
Dr. Trina. I love you, because you are not going to let anything keep you from doing what it is that you want to do. And I love that mindset. It's like, this doesn't mean, this is not an obstacle to stop me. It's to challenge me to see how I can keep moving. Now, keep in mind, Dr. Trina is not up here advocating that you do anything that is to your detriment. And she didn't either. But she also didn't use it as an excuse. Well, I have to wait until I recover before I can get back active. I know with our athletes, when they're under the care of a physician, we bring them in for conditioning. We bring them in for strength and flexibility training for the things that they can do that do not involve the injured piece that's on their body. And so it's right what you're saying, getting out the clutter, because we all know when we go through an injury, or we have a setback, or we have an ache or pain, or we're suffering from an injury, it attacks up here first.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. 100%. So so I got that rowing machine, and I cleared it with my orthopedist, and I just rode, and my bum leg was laying on that skateboard, just going for the ride. And then I also got a chance to perfect my handstands. I didn't need my feet to do handstands or my leg. So I just, okay, fine. This is the time. This is an opportunity to row, upper body strength. Core, I can do that. And I can work on my handstand. So I just flipped the switch. This is not a negative. I'm going to turn this into a positive.
Yes. I love that. Yeah. And I think what's key, and what's key for that is, you have always, starting with the very first decade, when you were, even before the very first decade, when you were 11 years old and saw Ogle Corbett doing the backflip on the balance beam, and you were like, whatever that is, whatever it takes, I'm going to do that. So it was a determination that you kept fueling as you started progressing through your decades. And it's an honor for me to have had this conversation with you. It's an honor for me to be inspired about how I can make some adjustments and move beyond, because I would have never thought about a skateboard and putting my bum. I was recently in a boot, and I was at the gym too. And people were like, if I was in a boot, I wouldn't be here. And I was like, I've got other parts of my body that definitely need working out on. But you have shared so many wonderful nuggets, and I appreciate you coming on my podcast and sharing. I actually want to get you to come back, and we'll have a whole nother conversation where we can actually help athletes and parents of athletes in different aspects of the transition, because that is a difficult thing. Like you mentioned about your sons, you do something for so long, and then all of a sudden it's time to venture away from that in a different way. So I would love for us to have a conversation about that in the future.
Absolutely. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you. So I want to make sure that everyone knows how they can watch Dr. Trina dance, as well as stay inspired with her and what she's doing. The call to action, if you've been watching me, this is where I share my guests' social media and contact information. Don't worry. You don't need to go run and try to find something to write with, or even screenshot it. You don't even need to do that. This is going to live in the show notes. She is on Instagram and LinkedIn at trina.r.wigginsmd. And she's also on Facebook, trina.wiggins.79. And you can also go to her website. She has so much valuable information on that website. Make sure you check it out and reach out to her if you've got some questions about your fitness routine or how to get back started or how to even make it work inside of your schedule. I am quite sure Dr. Trina will help you and give you lots of pointers, and because she has dropped so many nuggets here on this episode. Dr. Trina, I have something that I do with all of my guests, and it's in the final thoughts. And I know you weren't prepared for this, but you're going to be fine.
Okay.
So I would like for you, what is the one mindset shift that you would like to leave with our audience when it comes to their life and their fitness?
Yes. I have another strategy that I like, especially as we age through the decades. And I like acronyms. It's MISS, like Mrs. MRS.
Mm-hmm.
M stands for modify. As we get older, we may not be able to do the same things we did 20 years ago. Okay.
Right.
For example, my sister developed a pain in her shoulder. She was like, okay, I can't do my push-ups. I suggested she try wall push-ups or bent leg push-ups in order to decrease the pressure on her shoulders. So M, be okay with modification.
Love it.
R is for rejuvenation. Take the time to rejuvenate your body. Maybe get an assisted stretch. Maybe get a massage. Take a jacuzzi bath with Epsom salt. But rejuvenate. That's important. My kids always laugh at me and say, Mom, you have a mini PT, session here at home, because I make sure that I take care of myself.
Absolutely.
Because, and the problem is people don't rejuvenate. And then they get in this cycle of injury.
Yes.
Rehab, re-injure, repeat. And and then you don't make any progress.
Right.
So if you rejuvenate, that helps. And then S is for stretch. We have to stretch as we get older. It's important. And drink a lot of water, because that fascia that surrounds the muscle gets tight and stuck like glue. So we need to stretch I stretch every day. I hold splits every day. This is this is every single day. And before I end, I want to give a plug to Stretch Lab. It's a new company nationwide. You can just go get an assisted stretch, because an assisted stretch is better any day than a non-assisted stretch. So just remember MRS, Mrs. Modify, rejuvenate, and stretch as we age.
That is excellent. To your point of Stretch Lab, I've seen those and I was like, I wonder what that is. Now I know. I had no idea that that's what that was. I don't know that there's one right here in my immediate area, but there's one not too far away. I'm going to take that. I'm going to look at that, because you're absolutely right. That is one of the things that I am missing, is my flexibility, and getting back started with it. Ooh, it hurts, but it sounds like Stretch Lab would help in that process.
Oh, absolutely. My husband joined too. So, and we've only been members for about 2 months. He can now touch his hands flat on the ground, to the ground, and it's really helped with his golf swing. So it works. And like anything, it has to become a habit for consistency.
Absolutely. Dr. Trina, you are wonderful. You are my new shero. I am so inspired by you, by your story, by your zest, your zeal, your energy. It is so super contagious. And it has been my extreme honor and pleasure to have you here on Conversations with Coach.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed myself.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.
And there you have it. This has been a wonderful episode of Conversations with Coach. I wish we could have just gone on and on and on. I mean, she's got me ready now to just get up and just get moving and doing the things. I want you to make sure that you share this episode with someone that you know. Because as she said, as we age through the decades, it is not about quitting. It is not about not being able to do things. As a mindset coach, I want to challenge you to reframe your wording. And instead of looking at what you can't have and what you can't do, look out at the vast sea of things that you can do, and just make one small change each time and develop that habit. Well, I'm going to ask you to follow me on all of my social media And if you are, I want you to share it with at least one person. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. I even have a TikTok and a Pinterest account, and they are all at Christina Mindset Coach. Also, if you would like to have a clarity call and just figure out where it is that you are, maybe you've got an athlete that is struggling with a performance block, or maybe they are saying that they're no longer interested and you're feeling like this just came out of the blue, connect with me on my website. And as a reminder, my book is going to be released in 2023, and it would be my honor and privilege for you all to be a part of that. There will be information in the show notes for you to do so. And until we meet next time, remember, your life is only as good as your mindset. Make it a great one.
Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with Coach. Please be sure to follow Coach Christina on all of her social media platforms. And remember, life is only as good as your mindset.